some of those folks trying to drive along Highway 12, which is the way to get out of Hatteras. And I can tell you, a day or so before the actual storm hits, that road's going to be covered in water.
Yeah.
It always surges over.
The storm surge, I mean, the waves that kick up, even when the storm is hundreds of miles offshore, are going to have a significant effect in those low-lying areas. That's why storm surge watches and warnings are already in effect along the coast. Let's take a look at first, locally, satellite perspective, and we're going to zoom out and show you where we're going with Hurricane Florence. We don't have to zoom as far as we did yesterday, but let's pan in that direction. This is still a major Category 4 hurricane, kind of reorganizing itself a little bit. Looks a little bit ragged on the satellite perspective, but still a symmetrical, well-organized storm. The better it looks on satellite, the stronger the storm is. We'll zoom in for a closer look here and show you that eye is in the process of kind of being replaced. Hurricanes go through that cycle every once in a while, but that new storm activity on the eastern side is eventually going to surround the new eye of the storm as it continues to move to the west and northwest. Let's track the storm. It's a Category 4 right now. Going to stay in that category, fluctuating a bit, strengthening to 150-mile-an-hour winds and then 130-mile-an-hour winds as it makes landfall. The latest forecast landfall speed of 130-mile-an-hour sustained winds is going to happen by late Thursday night, just after midnight into early Friday morning. But again, that is still subject to revision. This is almost 72 hours away, and some of the forecast data has been trying to slow this down even more. So stay plugged into the forecast over the next several days, and that slow movement, once the storm puts on the brakes, it's actually going to slam on the brakes because look how slow this thing moves as it goes farther and farther inland. So the forecast cone becomes more of a circle because this thing's just going to kind of meander around in here, which means prolonged heavy rainfall is going to be a significant threat in North Carolina. Whether or not it's going to be directly in central North Carolina still remains to be seen, but it is a significant threat. Also, wind damage is going to be possible, particularly along the coast. Those 40-mile-an-hour tropical storm force winds just are not going to be able to be avoided, even if the storm significantly changes its path. And we are likely to get those tropical storm force winds in central North Carolina as well. That can cause some power line damage, some tree damage, even some minor roof damage and outbuilding damage as well. The rain, I think, is going to be the significant impact. This is the latest forecast from the Weather Prediction Center, and they are outlining a large area of more than 10 inches of rain, even 15 to 20 inches of rain just outside of central North Carolina. But again, if the forecast path changes, all of this gets rearranged as well. And even if the heaviest rain avoids central North Carolina, anything more than 6 inches of rain in the course of just a few days is going to be enough to cause significant flooding problems. Let's take a look at a couple different forecast models. And again, you have to look at these as possibilities, not guarantees. It depends on where exactly the storm goes. The European forecast model has just an apocalyptic rainfall forecast for Wilmington. And same thing for Fayetteville. It's anticipating 1.5 feet of rain because this model takes a storm into Wilmington and then just kind of meanders it around through South Carolina and eventually through western North Carolina. That would keep the rain amounts in the Triangle and northern central North Carolina a little bit lower. Different forecast model. The American model produces heavy rain pretty much for everybody across central North Carolina. The amounts are a little bit lower, but again, more than 6 inches of rain would cause significant problems. It's just a matter of how bad the flooding is going to be, and that depends on exactly where and how fast or how slow the storm moves. Looking outside this morning, we'll keep you updated on Florence. I do want to get you ready to head out the door. We'd have pretty normal late summertime weather. You're going to be able to get prepared for this over the next couple of days with decent conditions out there this morning. Seeing clear skies for the most part with some clouds here and there. Temperatures are warm. It's very muggy outside. It's going to heat up from the upper 60s and low 70s right now up into the upper 80s for highs this afternoon with some scattered afternoon thunderstorms not associated with Florence. This is just normal summertime stuff. Same thing tomorrow, a degree or so warmer, and then beginning late Thursday when we start to feel the influence of Florence. But again, the timing is going to depend on how hard that storm slams on the brakes as it gets closer to the coast and makes landfall. Another update coming up in just a few minutes. Right now, Aaron has a traffic update.
Hey everyone, 6:21. Good.